Right. Bright and early, like I like my success. Bright and early, that's the grind. Bright and early, that's how I like my money to hit the account. Good morning to you, and welcome to Biashara Tuesday, your go-to morning business TV show. I'm your host, Richard OKENYE, and we have an exciting conversation and lineup for you today, packed with conversations that will set the tone for a successful week ahead, and also industry news that is relevant to you as a Kenyan. First off, we will be diving into the latest updates of the finance bill of 2023. It is still a conversation, a very engaging one. I think the most engaging discussion that has happened in matters of finance, online and offline, in the Republic. This week, members of parliament, will they trade in their trust with the people of Kenya for just a little bit of their own gain, or will they do what is right? We are expecting Mr. Moses Wetangula, the Speaker of the National Assembly, to be independent, objective, and firm as a Speaker as they discuss and deliberate on various issues which have been tabled there in the Finance Bill of 2023. The opposition pressure and public outcry from Kenyans has forced the President, William Ruto, to step down, or to climb down, as they say about the famous taxpayer from the Bible, to climb down on some of those punitive taxes and levies which are proposed there in the Finance Bill of 2023. Some of them that you should be excited for is the housing levy, which was proposed to be at 3%, and now, in the new terms, President Ruto has now dropped that to 1.5%. Digital content creators, 15% withholding tax, now dropped down to 5%. However, other of those taxes are there included the doubling of VAT on petroleum products and also some others which we'll be getting into a bit later. So join us, we'll analyze the implications on businesses, individuals, and the overall economic landscape. I'm joined this morning by Wakili Robin. We'll be dissecting the key highlights and also shedding light on some of those changes which could impact your individual financial decisions. So the newspaper review section will be coming up. That's something you should be excited for, that and much more developments which are coming out of your world. Next up, we'll be having an exclusive interview with Fasini, which is a new car rentals company in the Republic. Let's have a look at how they are trying to revolutionize that car rental industry space and how exactly do they plan to adapt to the ever-changing demands of the market. We are used to car hailing activities. We are also used to other means of transportation. Owning cars is something that is a conversation for anyone who's trying to be successful. But also, how do you convince people to move to car renting and not car ownership? Learn about their innovative stretch. Also learn about their customer-centric approaches, and also how is it that they are setting themselves apart in this kind of competitive space, because we all know there are so many of those car rental companies in the Republic. So that and much more is happening here on Biashara Tuesday, conversations which I'll be engaging with you on all social media platforms at KUTV Kenya and also at Richard_OKENYE. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, get ready for a power-packed morning of insights here on Biashara Tuesday. We are going to dive in and kickstart your day with knowledge and motivation that you need to set your week and to excel in the world of business. My name is Richard OKENYE. As I said earlier on, let's have a look at the roads and then get back to business. avoid Kiambu Road this morning if you're heading out to work. There's an accident that's happened along that route at Muthaiga Golf Club. So avoid Kiambu Road at all costs. Horrible accident I'm seeing here on the timeline, courtesy of Econo Crisis K, but also this information is relayed to us with Ma3 Routes Twitter account, current traffic and transport conditions in the city of Nairobi. So Kiambu Road, if you have alternative routes, guys who are on that road, please do inform us. On Thika Road, things are looking good this morning for the first time in a while, all the way to town. So if you're heading out, you should be grateful for that and do so as quickly as possible. Mombasa Road, kumeshikana already, but it's not as bad as it was last week. So you can be heading to town. Langata Road, kuko salama sana. Along Mbagathi Way, I'm seeing there's also a hold-up. Boda bodas are psychos. Any person who wishes to die so often and takes deadly risks is psychopathic. They should be banned. I stopped ordering food from boda bodas because they are not normal on the roads. Those are few incidences. I don't think it's fair to, taint the whole industry like that. But boda boda riders, that's a call to you guys to, better your game there. Boda boda riders causing a bit of traffic and issues along Mbagathi Way. The pickup should not have been overtaking in a freaking bend and in a school zone. This information here on that interaction or that accident which is here between a boda boda rider and a pickup. So more information from Mbagathi Way that you should be looking at. So Thika Road is clear, Mombasa Road is not as bad, and Kiambu Road something that you should avoid totally. Langata Road, I'm seeing parklands outbound to towns also. There's traffic build-up if you are using the underpass. I'd love to know which exact underpass that is. There are 2 illegal bumps erected along Mai Mahiu Road, Narok, about 1 kilometers from Mai Mahiu town before the Shell petrol station. Too high and too wide. The question is to Kenya, who is responsible for erecting this road bump? So they seem to be creeping up everywhere on the roads, and road users are not aware of their presence. It's causing a lot of trouble there, especially here, Mai Mahiu Road, which is the update you're receiving along that route, 1 kilometer from Mai Mahiu town. Those are the updates in the city and also any other route that is around it. If you have more information, please give us that update. Now, taking a look at the latest updates from your world and coming back to you with the KUTV Rise Today news updates. Don't go far. All right, a very wealth of experts and discussions happen here on Biashara Tuesday, and today is not unlike all the rest that have been there before. We have conversations happening here with guys from Fasini, which is a car rental company, and they're asking you a very simple question. Why buy new when you can rent at an affordable price? The CMO Fasini, that is Zuveil Tantuo, will be here in the morning, and also accompanying her, is Wekesa Isaac, who is the COO of Fasini. You should be checking them out on their website, Fasini. They just launched 2 weeks ago, and they had a very exciting launch in the areas of Kilimani, Kileleshwa, which they will be here as well to tell us how that went, and also what kind of difference are they seeking to make within this car rental industry, and how will they adapt to the ever-changing market of car ownership and also public transportation. That conversation will be preceded by a newspaper review segment, which will be happening here with Wakili Robin. Was supposed to be here last week Tuesday, but because of a few issues here and there, we are coming back with him this morning. He's a regular on KUTV Rise Today, a wealth of knowledge and also a legal consultant. We're going to mostly be focusing on the finance bill of 2023, whose deliberations will be happening this week on Thursday, where members of parliament will be voting, and we will be watching to see which side do they take. Will the speaker be a speaker for the people, or will he be a mouthpiece for the executive arm of the government? So that is a very heated discussion that's happening here. You don't want to miss out on that. But first, what are the latest updates coming out of your world? The money talk. You trying to get that money, say no more, let's take a walk. begin with the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who has now called for enhanced collaboration between all stakeholders led by the security sector and criminal justice system to end the menace of alcohol and substance abuse. The Deputy President has yesterday convened the third regional meeting for the Upper Eastern Region at Kirubia Stadium in Tharaka Nithi County that brought together leadership from the national government, county government, administrators and security officers to firm up this approach in the region.
Kenya Kwanza government led by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has vowed to stay firm in the war against manufacturing, using, selling and abuse of illicit and substance use. Gachagua has confirmed the serious crisis of substance abuse and addiction of national police officers during an Eastern Region conference in Tharaka Nithi.
It is true we have a serious addiction within the National Police Service. It is true we have had many suicides arising out of addiction and depression. It is true officers have shot each other because of addiction and depression. We need, as a force, to deal with it. And one of the ways is that admission by the county commander, so that those officers who are past being stopped and have become patients can be rehabilitated.
Gachagua has asked members of parliament to play an oversight role for the government and help in the war against substance abuse.
What we're asking the members of parliament here is to oversight. Oversight for us. Waangalie, sasa nikitoka hapa patusi utanipatia report. That's all I need from you. Hiyo peke yake inatosha. Ukimaliza kuniambia what's going on, waambie professor, uachie hapo. Leave the rest to us.
However, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, who was also in attendance, said that the government is running a license review to check on the alcohol manufacturers that have started parallel organizations to make illegal substances and revoke their licenses.
I want to agree with the presenter from NACADA that many of the licensees who are genuinely licensed are subcontracted their production to others, and they are some of the either know that they are legitimately using under their license is being used to concoct other things that are substandard and unhealthy.
Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry Moses Kuria, during a speech at the conference, termed any alcohol past to 50 milliliters sold below 250 shillings as illicit. Kuria promised to publish the price of alcohol with KRA from time to time.
If you find any wine and spirit, 250 milliliters, being sold less than 250 shilling, that is illicit. Because tumefanya hesabu, mimi na KRA, and we know the cost structure. So hiyo pombe yote unakuta ikiuzwa less than 250 shillings, ujue ni illicit, that person should be treated as a suspect.
This was the third conference on fight against substance abuse chaired by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The conference was attended by community leaders together with other politicians from the 8 counties of the Eastern Region. Salma Swaleh, KUTV.
One step up the ranks, President William Ruto has stated that Kenya, Ethiopia, South Sudan and Somalia are working together to restore normalcy in Sudan, which has been facing insecurity crisis. President Ruto, who spoke during the IGAD ordinary session in Djibouti, said that the 4 nations are willing to meet with the representatives of the Sudan generals and discuss issues on how to restore normalcy in the country and also to extend humanitarian aid to those in need. President Ruto says that a face-to-face engagement with the generals is essential for the discussion on solving that crisis.
That the Quartet of Kenya, we have taken the decision that the Quartet of Kenya, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Somalia will in the next 10 days meet face to face with General Burhan and General Dagalo in a face-to-face engagement so that we can speak to them directly on behalf of IGAD with a view of stopping the war that is raging in Sudan. We have also agreed that in the next 2 weeks we will discuss with the generals on providing a humanitarian corridor so that humanitarian support can be made available to those in need. In the next 3 weeks, we also begin the process of an inclusive national dialogue to get the people of Sudan the opportunity for them to discuss in their diversity the issues of their country. We have taken the decision.
Now, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, SUPKEM, has as of yesterday, appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee chaired by Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana to look into the regulation proposals of religious organizations. The SUPKEM chairman, Hassan Ole Nado, has issued an outcry claiming that the government is favoring Christians over Muslims, and this is in regard to the case of controversial televangelist Paul Mackenzie of the Goodwill International Church, who is linked to the deaths in Shakahola village that have, as of yesterday, hit 284.
Mr. Chair, when we therefore say Muslims know they understand the dangers of extremist religious teachings, it is because we have lived through it and have suffered consequences of it, because apart from hard power approaches employed by the government, the state has also went ahead to employ and deploy various soft power approaches to comprehensively and decisively deal with religious extremists blamed on Islam. This prejudiced attitude has left questions among Muslims if indeed the government sees us as equal citizens.
We've been to Kilifi, we've met, we've gone to Shakahola, we've met religious people, we have come here, we have met religious people. We are going to go to other parts of Kenya because we are told some of the people who went there were not from there. So we are going to visit, and we are in a listening mood, and we also want to hear what the people, especially important people of your caliber, are saying.
A Christian to regulate Islam, I don't think he'll be in a position to know the details of the doctrine and the creed of that religion. So what we're saying is each religion should have their own controls and checks. It should have their own regulatory mechanism and to be given that space to operate on those terms and guidelines. Mr.
Now, Mount Kenya legislators have jumped in the middle of farmers' cry to push for amendment of laws on farming within that region. The leaders claim that the existing laws make it difficult for farmers to benefit from their produce by inducing limitations and punitive measures. The leaders are now calling for quick review and amendments of the laws to come to the aid of unhappy farmers.
A section of Mount Kenya legislators have flagged concerns on farmers' plea over neglect, mistreatment and faulty laws. The leaders are up to push for amendments of the existing laws that they claim to hinder farmers' productivity by overlooking the farmers' welfare.
Ni sheria ililetwa na Munya. Munya alileta sheria akaachia watu ambao ni mabrokers wenye hawajui hata mti ya kahawa inakaa aje. Hao ndo watu wenye kahawa. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio sheria tunabadilisha. Hii sheria ingine ya AFA ya kwingine, hiyo ni sheria ambayo inahitaji implementation 100%.
Speaking at Karao Catholic Church in Manyata constituency, Embu County, the chair of Senate Agriculture Committee, James Marango, noted that some laws only seem to regulate crops grown around Mount Kenya forest. Murango said that the curfew bill at the Senate will protect farmers to own their produce from the farm to the last bit of the value chain. The Kirinyaga senator added that the new law will allow farmers to market their own coffee, therefore bypassing the brokers.
Lazima tuangalia kwamba mkulima atakuwa ni mwenye kahawa toka achune mpaka iuzwe. Sasa hivi mkulima unakuja kupata yeye ni mwenye kahawa tu wakati anapeleka kwa milling, wakati kabla hajapeleka kwa milling. Akipeleka kwa mila ikitwa parchment, anapoteza kuwa yeye ndio mwenye hiyo kahawa. Na hapo ndo ukora inaanzia. Unasikia kuna kitu wanaita milling losses. Ati wakati wa kusaga kahawa, almost kahawa 36% inapotea.
Tabling the complaints of the farmers at grassroots, Manyata MP Gitonga Mukunji accused the government of interfering with the macadamia farming by partially enforcing the law on the sale of unprocessed macadamia. He noted that the government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has failed to affect the AFA Act that recognizes Growers Association who can negotiate on behalf of the members.
Mimi najua maneno ya ukulima tutanyorosha. Ile shida ilikuwa kubwa ni kwamba tumekuwa na watu ambao wako katikati ya shida za kahawa na majani, na bado wao ndio tunaambia watutatulie mashida yetu.
The leaders, however, expressed optimism that if necessary changes are adopted, the table will turn for farmers and the issues dodging the sectors will be solved to increase production and stabilize income generation. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, on his just concluded Kafi Summit in Meru, promised to implement Kafi reforms to enable farmers to increase their income from the crop. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
Embu Governor, that is Cecile Mbarire, on Friday actually claimed the companies that were running cartels and named them, and they should be dealt with. So I'm just going to, according to the statement from the governor, she claimed the existence of 3 coffee cartels in Kenya. One is Newman, second is Ecom, 3 is Sukafina. So you can read on these details. I'll be sharing this article on Kenyan Insights. It's on kenyaninsights.com on how exactly the governor is naming and what they are doing in this sector, which is dominated by these 3 companies, and cutting off profits from the farmers who, as you've heard there, are doing nothing more than just producing the coffee, not benefiting from what it is getting in the markets. Let's move over from coffee to bang. Police in Nyahururu have arrested a woman who has been selling bang from her homestead after they received a tip from residents about an unusual number of youth seen going in and out of her home, which instigated a raid that led to the nabbing of bang worth 150,000 Kenyan shillings, together with special rolling paper for that drug. This comes after the fight against drug abuse among the youth in the country actually, especially in Mount Kenya, was recently launched. Nyahururu Deputy County Commissioner Muthike Ndambuki has urged peddlers to refrain and venture into legal businesses.
Tu yetu ni kuambia wananchi watafute biashara nyingine, waachana hii biashara ya kuharibu vijana, kwa sababu vijana wakunja hii bangi ndio kwanza inachangia mambo ya crime kwenda juu. Na tungeombea wale ambao wanaouza hii bangi, huyo imepatikana kwa madam na ndiye mwenyewe, so waachana hii biashara, washika biashara nyingine ambayo inaweza kuleta maendeleo. Vijana wakivuta bangi hakuna kitu kingine, wanatusumbua hapa sokoni wakipiga watu wengine geta na wizi nyingine kidogo kidogo.
We move over to Laikipia County, where residents have come together through a workshop that was held in Nanyuki Hotel. It aimed at creating awareness on matters gender equality and as well as dealing with gender-based violence through socio-economic development. This was brought about by a realization that most people lack the knowledge on these topics, bringing together stakeholders from education and religious sectors, as well as the youth and community-based organizations.
A seminar was held in Nanyuki Hotel, whose main aim was to educate people on how to deal with gender-based violence and also promote gender equality. Ms. Karen Kyogoria, who is the gender coordinator of Laikipia, echoed that most people have little to no knowledge on these issues. As a result, she urged people to be open-minded and shift the existing mentality on matters gender roles.
We realize that many think gender is GBV, which is not right. And therefore, we are trying to sensitize them to appreciate that gender is about roles and that roles change with the time. And therefore, if one is able to undertake roles that was in earlier days undertaken by the other gender, they should not see it as an issue, but appreciate and complement each other.
According to the director of Mukugudo Girls Empowerment Program in Laikipia, Josephine Dirias, even though there are noticeable changes for women empowerment in the society through accessing education, in-depth adherence to culture within Laikipia North is still upheld. She noted that there are specific roles that are still solely associated with one gender, so that if done by the other gender, it is considered a taboo. Therefore, it is a major setback in the fight against gender-based violence.
But where we are now, women are coming out, at least they are able to access education, but still they don't have the voice simply because they are women. But when it comes to responsibilities in the family, they are changing, because you can see now women are being able to put food on the table. They are able to access education, but still the respect is not where we want it to be.
On matters of equality and inclusion, Persons with Disability Representative Ms. Valentine Kireita expressed gratitude for the inclusion in the Gender Technical Working Group in Laikipia County. She said that more often than not, people with disabilities often feel left out because the society does not fully include them in their endeavors, which makes them receive little to no recognition, therefore contributing to the challenges they are facing.
We have challenges when it comes to gender mainstreaming because persons with disabilities are mostly affected. We can say they are double affected because most of the time the facilities are not accessible. Also, we find that it is hard for our community to recognize persons with disabilities.
More workshops across the country are deemed instrumental in creating awareness on gender equality and war against gender-based violence. Ivy Bina, KUTV.
Now, elsewhere, menstrual stigma has been a major concern in the country, especially in the ASAL areas. In Kilifi County, the stigma goes deeper as menstruation is associated with a range of traditional myths that suggest it's a taboo for a girl to associate with others during her cycle. However, the narrative is slowly changing with the emergence of different programs advocating for menstrual awareness.
Menstrual poverty has severally been named as the prime contributor of teenage pregnancies across various ASAL areas. In Kilifi County, menstruation has been associated with traditional myths that contribute further to school dropouts. Zainab Wanje, a 16-year-old girl from Danicha village in the county, tells us that lack of sanitary towels comes with its own fair share of challenges, which prompts the girls to look for other means.
Na challenges nyingi sana zimekuwa zipata wasichana, especially hao wenye wamekuwa adolescent, the time wakiwa matured, kuna challenges nyingi zenye huwa wanapitia kama kukosa hizi pads kama vile nimesema. Hiyo huwa inasababishia msichana kuhangaika na kwenda kutafuta msaada kwingine.
Gloria Mwadzoya from Waraka in Chonyi sub-county adds that apart from the myths associated with menstruation, menstrual illiteracy also contributes to stigma, noting that most of the girls do not know how to use the sanitary towels.
Zenye hawaelewi mambo ya hedhi ni nini. Kwa mfano, wengine wanajua tu mtu akiwa kwa hedhi hafai kufanya shughuli zingine kama kupika, na ndio tumeona siku ya leo tuje tuwaelimishe, tuwafundishe jinsi ya kutumia. Hata wengine hawatumii, hawajui kutumia, wengine wamezoea tu kutumia piece of cloth.
Gloria further states that the lack of sustainable sanitary towels has led to the rise in school dropouts among girls.
Na ile piece of cloth inamsababisha mtu haendi shule, sababu ile ukikaa after some time ina stain. Sasa msichana anaona aibu kwani ende shule na darasa limejaa wanaume, wavulana, walimu, anaona aibu kwa ile akistain atachekwa.
In a bid to eradicate the stigma and poverty associated with menstruation, different organizations have chipped in to sensitize the community on menstrual hygiene by involving opinion leaders, as well as urging male parents to actively involve themselves in their children's health for safety.
Given that the taboos are attributed to our culture as Mijikenda, so we have been able to engage the Kaya elders, we have been able to engage the service providers, we have been able to engage the religious leaders in different forums, as well as creating awareness basically on this taboo.
Ni mpaka sisi wazazi wa kiume jamani tushikane na hawa watoto wetu ili hii shughuli iwe shughuli kama shughuli ya kawaida.
When menstruation's poverty remains to be a major issue in the society, different organizations continue to take part in eradicating the menace with the hope of reducing teenage pregnancies. Ruth Wanjiru for KUTV.
Right, that brings us to the end of our updates this morning on KUTV Rise Today, but you can get more of this in KUTV Primetime News later on, 9 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. on Mizizi ya Habari, the Swahili version of the updates. That plus what is developing throughout the day will be there at the end. So please make sure you're following through with KUTV's rest of broadcasting. Are you planning to get a sweet and stylish vehicle to loft you around the city? Or do you want to cruise the city in style and discover the sweet and some stylish vehicles as well? Or do you just want to move from the urban to the rural areas through whatever terrain it is that you want to explore? That is what Fascini want you to have to get ready for an unforgettable adventure. It's a car rental company that is just launched a few weeks ago in a very memorable launch which they held in Nairobi, and we'll be having them this morning to discuss that and much more on how they want to make you access cars at a very affordable rate, and also, you know, in a way that is not, in a way that will help you cruise whichever adventure it is that you want to explore. I'll be sitting down with two of the team members from this company, that is Wekesa Isaac, the Chief Operating Officer at Fascini, and Fascini is F-A-S-I-N-I-I at the end, so you can be checking out the website to see what exactly they are up to and what kind of range of vehicles they are offering. Zoviel Tantuo is also the CMO of Fascini, and she will be here as well accompanying her COO to discuss more on what their business approach is and how exactly they set themselves apart from the competition which is there in this car rental industry. Wakili Robin is back again on the show. He's a legal consultant and policy analyst. For those guys who have not seen him on the show before, he'll be here to delve much more into what is happening on the papers this morning. He'll be highlighting key issues and also shedding light on what impact these issues are going to have on your financial decisions. So stay tuned for that and much more that is happening here on Biashara Tuesday. But before I go for that break, remember, June, if you didn't know, is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So check up on a man who's closest to you. And if you're a man, please tell us, how is your mental health at the moment? How's business taking you? We'll be right back. Don't go far.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za tarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Adventures across the African continent. See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes, and out of this world technologies. Meet incredible scientists and learn fantastic facts. Explore, discover, be amazed. Be part of the next generation of African change makers. Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay! Let's go!
We're learning every day.
To the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Terrell.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
ndio tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Ndio hiyo. Kama ndizi.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Sikinai tujinai siweke story. Kata maji pia shada liko nasio nikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni nini.
Big up, brother, ukiwa adriva, big up, sis, big up, shows, mamba, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Good morning and welcome back to Biashara Tuesday. Tweet us out, hashtag Biashara Tuesday on Twitter, and also follow our live stream on YouTube and also Facebook, KUTV Kenya Live. We'll be discussing now what is happening on the headlines in the morning. The newspapers that have prioritized the most important stories this morning, The Standard and the Daily Nation. The Business Daily, looking a bit more into business, the brokenness that is there in KQ, they're failing to find investors, and also a bit of what is happening with the CBK governor who will be handing over the instruments of power, the outgoing CBK governor, that is Patrick Njoroge, giving it out to Thuge, who is now going to be the next CBK governor. We'll be getting to that in a All right. Here I have Wakili Robin. We are discussing what is happening on the headlines. If you have the Star, the East African Review, or the People Daily, please send me the headlines. And we will be comparing it with what we are seeing on the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, and the Standard. Why Ruto climbed down on new taxes is what I'm reading here on the e-paper version of the Daily Nation. You can get yourself a physical copy at 60 shillings and also an e-version for only 40 Kenyan shillings. Why Ruto climbed down on new taxes, the headline on the Daily Nation. A wave of public outcry and pressure from the opposition has forced the president to step down on a few of those measures or a few of those taxes and levies which were outlined in the finance bill of 2023. It's going to be tabled in Parliament today for a discussion with honourable members of Parliament who we are expecting to act honourably, even if for the past really long time they have not been acting honourably. Will they be taking or will they be doing the right thing this time and listen to the cry of Mwananchi? According to what we are seeing so far, it seems that partially the demands of Mwananchi have been listened to. And I'm going to go through some of those concessions in a short while, discussing them with Wakili Robin, and then see how those changes are going to impact your financial decision making into the coming year of the year that is beginning July of 2023. But first, welcome Wakili to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back, man. How has it been?
It's been well.
You're a busy man this year. We have to begin with that.
Not by liking. Maybe we can begin with standing in solidarity with my friends from Toy Market in Kibra.
Right.
The traders there are undergoing some big shift. I was in Kibra the other day when you called me a busy man, and we were talking with traders about a program we're implementing called Nairikiti Icons on the proposed Biashara fund for Nairobi County. So basically what we are asking is we are talking with young people to find out what they would want from Governor Sakaja's pledge and how they would want that implemented and how they would actually use that Biashara fund to help them in the long term. So it gets very hard when you see just when young people started to start their businesses and then something like what happened in Toy Market happens. So
it's a tragedy.
I will start with being in solidarity with them and saying we are together in this journey. We will still make it through.
Thank you for that. This being a business show, I think it's apt that we begin with standing in solidarity with business people in the country who we are having this program for. Asante sana Wakili for that. Yourself, how are you?
I am very well. Right. I have been busy, as you say, but we've been fighting on all corners, fighting for the young people of Nairobi. I may shout out some few people who sent me greetings to you. I have greetings from one Honorable Edwin Deda from Kibra. I have greetings from Musila Junior from Lindi. I have greetings from Habib Omar from Kariobangi. And young people actually coming out and standing in with each other and fighting this journey of youth inclusion and effectiveness in active participation.
Right, that is a very commendable move there, and also greetings to all of those that you've already mentioned. Now, for other people who are also fighting really for the youth and the general public, one, the opposition, but also the public. We've seen a debate unlike any other that has rocked the nation. Last year's or previous years' finance bills have not actually brought this kind of, sensational discussions happening online and offline at the same time. If you ask your mama mboga, if you ask your boda boda rider, who are the bottom up as has been referred to by the Kenya Kwanza government. If you ask all the bottom up, citizens, they will tell you indeed they are aware of what is happening in the nation as regards to the finance bill of 2023. Let me just maybe begin with your general reaction before we get into what has been the developments in the past 1 week. Looking at the propositions in the finance bill, VAT exempt, housing levy, all these discussions have already happened intensely in the past 3 weeks or so. So what were your reactions, first of all, and how has that changed so far?
First of all, I'm very glad with the conversation. The last time I was here, I told you that Kenyans are becoming woke and Kenyans are starting to see things that actually affect them. So I'm very glad when we have a conversation as a country about the finance bill. That is a plus to me. But even as we have the conversation, it is okay that we can also tell people the truth. I hear in government they say that truth and fact are relative. They might be different, but it is okay to tell the people the truth at one point or the other. further. What I mean by that is by people understanding that the finance bill is government's way of doing business or government's way of making money to finance a budget. What we call sensitization and people knowing about rising on this price, lowering of this price, is what the government uses to, I would say, control us, because I am not a democracy person. But that much being said, my reaction is we are just doing same rounds, going around on the same thing, because once you reduce something on this side, you have to add somewhere, because the money that they expect to earn has not changed per se.
Right.
It's not like they have reduced the budget. They have only re-strategized on how they will get the money. But at the end of it all, I think once we start to discuss the nitty-gritties, I will oppose some of the things that you have said or some as have been reported, because I believe it's just a fallacy. We are still passing the same finance bill, if you ask me.
Right. The president and his deputy were very insistent on the fact that this finance bill will be passed as it is. But now we are seeing here, according to what is there on the Daily Nation this morning, a wave of public outcry and mounting pressure from the opposition and various organizations have now forced President William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza administration to cave in on some of these so-called punitive proposals in the finance bill. And maybe just to go through a few of those concessions inside what President William Ruto has decided. The housing levy reduced from 3% proposition to 1.5%. The digital levy on content creators, which was now proposed at 15% withholding tax, now to 5%. 3, the double VAT on petroleum products from 8% to 16%. That still is an increase of rental income from proposed 7.5% back to an upwards of 10%. Is the president listening? What does this inform Kenyans? Should Kenyans feel like they are partially getting their voice heard within the highest ranks?
I believe the question is not is the president listening. The question is, who is the president listening to? Why I say that is because you are reporting quite well there that we have reduced the housing levy from 3% to 1.5%. That is actually a lie. Why I call it a lie is because the housing levy was supposed to be given 1.5% for by the employee and 1.5% by the employer. So what did the employers do? What you're calling mounting pressure. The employers said that if we have to chuck out 1.5% to help in this housing levy, we will have to let go of some stuff and retrench stuff, because we cannot manage to be paying that much for people. So what Kenya Kwanza government has done is removed the part where the employee does a 1.5, the employer does a 1.5% contribution to your housing levy, but the 1.5% done by the employee is still there. So in actual sense, the president is listening to your employer, not listening to you, the employee. So it's the question I still remain on is who is he listening to? Because again, you go to we have reduced for digital content, they have increased for export levy from 10% to 17%. They're still recovering what they are losing, but it depends on who now is going to be affected. Now, the people in the export industry, so we have, like macadamia nuts went from 200 Kenya shillings per kilo to 20 Kenya shillings per kilo, and our biggest market was in export. And now you have increased the export duty to 17%. It's maybe because you think the export people can't talk that much like the digital content people, because they are on Twitter attacking you every day. But at the end, we are still passing the same finance bill. I keep insisting.
Whether we like it or not, we are still passing the same finance bill. The Standard actually puts it really well. I don't know if you can get us the headline there, that President William Ruto is taking with one hand and giving back with the other. Listening to employers on one hand and taking it back from the employees on the other hand. Maybe you can get it from you, Robin, there.
Yes, actually, from the Standard, I note that they say that the betting tax was proposed as 20, goes down to 12.5%. The insurance stays the same. Income tax goes from 32 to 35. Export levy goes from 10 to 17. mobile transfer go down from 15 to 12. And they say that the president has agreed to amend some of the controversial taxes by reducing the percentage and increasing the amount on other sides, and retaining some of the VAT, like the petrol, roads, and the one for insurance. I still can't understand why they would want to tax. I'm finding it hard to explain to Kenyans that once you go out there and you get into an accident and you have an insurance cover, and the insurance people decide to compensate you for your
accident,
your injury, then the government will tax you for that. I still don't. I find it hard to explain. Are they taxing how you being injured, or are they taxing your recovery from
In fact,
the
if you
injury?
die, because there's insurance on death as well.
Yes.
If you die, you still have to pay the government a bit of tax.
Yes.
You know, taxing you to death. That's actually the way we can put in death, to death, and in death.
Yes.
You're still having to pay taxes. But now, Robin, I have a question for you here. How can we speak of can we still speak of the finance bill and its propositions and what it's supposed to do for Mwananchi? Because when you were beginning earlier on, you said, this is a way for the government to raise revenue, really. There's no other way. There has to be a finance bill for every single year, that will be presented, and the Treasury has to, see the allocations and how that's going to happen. Can we still speak of that while we haven't solved the issue of transparency and accountability?
Well, I like what the senator for the former governor and now the senator for Uasin Gishu. I still find that very amusing. But what Senator Jackson Mandago said, that in as much as we are speaking about the finance bill, it's time to think of when that money gets to the government. Are we sure that the people who are getting that money are going to use it for the right reasons? The last time I was here, I explained that the government can basically make money in three ways. The government can tax its people. The government can get grants and aids from international partners, and the government can actually enter into commercial agreements like loans and PPPs to do development works. Now, it depends on the government you have for the day and how they think of it. The government we have of the day thinks of talking to us about savings and being comfortable in where we are and looking at leading a quote-unquote simple life. But we've had governments that were ambitious. Uhuru's government was focusing on what they call big push investment. They focused on the commercial agreements on how we can create infrastructure that can earn us money with time to spend, with time to come. Kibaki's government was more of the visionary part of it, and looking at our structures and how we can balance what we earn, what we borrow, to make sure that even in 10 years we can still be able to pay out some of the debts while collecting some from Kenyans. And thinking of it in that sense, you get to understand that, okay, we now have a government that does not believe in entering into commercial agreements on maybe loans. They're saying we have too much loans and all, but they have already borrowed like 687 billion as we speak up to today. So with that trajectory, they will borrow as much as what was borrowed in the previous regime that they keep bashing. But even as we talk about that, you look at the taxes and the current status of our economy, that if you were to focus on doing it, getting it from Kenyans, are they in a position to do that? We have Kenyans who are hearing from unemployment from COVID. We have businesses that are on the decline, but we are celebrating killing them once they are down there. Because I don't think, I think for my side, I would propose that maybe they would bring their budget a bit down and concede, okay, we have failed to manage what we have as Kenyans, as the Kenyan government, and we are having financial crisis. So we need to a bit regulate on how we are spending. But what we are seeing from them is they still want to manage that high budget, have 50 CASs, have foreign trips every now and then, look like you look left, you look right, it's something, Mudavadi is going here, who is doing what, these ones are having a conference by the government, these ones are doing, and much of it comes to why are we doing this?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, if you were to serve Kenyans, we would be talking about NHIF. You have not remitted NHIF money for 8 months, and then you talk of remitting 2 months arrears, not the 6 months, and you want us to go back to that.
Not possible. Here, I have a list of members of parliament that the nation, this is courtesy of Nation, who reached out to, most of them, if not all, to get their position on the finance bill of 2023. And this is trying to see if there's any chance of this finance bill being battered down at least to a level where Mwananchi can get to agree with. But first, we have to remember that the Speaker of the National Assembly, who's Moses Wetangula, is an insider of the Kenya Kwanza government. So a man who's supposed to be independent and to be impartial in what he is going to do, that is as of Thursday, that's a bit tricky for me as a common Mwananchi to believe that it's possible for these members of parliament to listen to our voices at large. But looking at this as well, so far 61 members of parliament with their names here published by the Nation last week who are saying they're going to vote yes on the finance bill of 2023. 45 of them are saying no, and 46 have given no responses and are undecided. So if you look at yes versus no, it's 61 to 45, and there's a whole lot of 46 people who are yet to decide. Does this shine maybe a small light of hope for Kenyans that maybe some of these MPs by this Thursday will have heard at least the cry of common Mwananchi?
Being a Jubilee member, I have to kind of agree with what you're saying about the speaker. It's not out of disrespect or dishonor, but the man has not provided dignity to that office. I say that because just last week we had a battle in Parliament because one of our members, who I have taken to the disciplinary committee, decided that day we were supposed to do a judgment on whether she should be expelled from the party for being in the Kenya Kwanza side. But instead of fighting the battles about you are in Kenya Kwanza or Azimio, she was in Parliament fighting to remain as the deputy minority whip of the opposition. So and Moses Wetangula let that go. So
Moses Wetangula already scored an own goal with Sabina Chege. I think that's how I can put it.
So if coming from it from that angle, even if we were to have a conscience or a moment of reckoning from our members of parliament from the Kenya Kwanza side, you would not be surprised to see the speaker leading them to light, quote unquote, and showing them the way of voting yes. I will not be surprised if I see something of the sort. But be that as it may, we have to recognize some who are doing some great work. I have to recognize Gathoni Wabushoba, even when she comes from the other side, that she's actually taking that conversation to the people and asking from the people if should I vote yes or should I vote no? And that's what should be happening with every MP we have. But here in KU, we have an MP from UDA, and I believe he's on that list as yes, and he has never spoken in Parliament, so you can see where we are headed.
Right, definitely. Has your member of Parliament actually asked you what your thoughts are on the finance bill of 2023? Do you even know who your member of Parliament is? There's a list here, and I'm going to retweet it. It has a list of the members of Parliament, what they're saying they're going to vote by Thursday. Next to them is their constituencies that they're representing, so you can check it. And this is going to be really useful information. Actually, there's a comment here already from one Mwangi ML saying, for the first time, we'll have a situation where voters will know how their MPs voted in Parliament, and it's going to be a great step forward to holding elected leaders.
Actually, the president scored an odd goal by that when he said he wants to see also how every MP will vote on the finance bill. It also brought to the attention of Kenyans, okay, I also want to know how my MP will vote.
Right.
So if he votes for you or votes against
what your needs are. Like here on page this is page 5 of the Daily Nation. Pay slips to suffer as state raids workers. Workers are already grappling with prices of basic commodities going up. Also, contributions are upwards. NSSF, NHIF. The government has also finished gathering views on the proposals to the NHIF contribution from the current range of 150 and 1700 to a flat rate of 2.75% of gross salary. So if you're someone who gets a pay slip at the end of the month, these are how the deductions will be changing. In 2022, your pay was at 1,300. In 2023, with the proposal, it's going to change a bit to 1,095. NSSF from 200 to 1,080. NHIF from 900 back to 825. And that is for guys who are earning 30,000 gross pay. So this is the figure that the nation has decided to use as an example. So if you do that, 2.7% of the gross deduction of your gross salaries, that is the deduction, will be 900. If you're earning 100,000 NHIF, you're going to pay 2,750 per month. NSSF 1080, and payee, of course, there are going to be at 35%, and and more of that. So it seems there's guys who are, people who are expecting a pay slip at the end of the month are going to suffer a bit more than guys who aren't. And this we noticed with the statements by the President William Ruto saying that, wale majamaa wako na pay slip, wanataka nyinyi ambao hamna pay slip msibenefit. Are we witnessing Kenya Kwanza, instead of, using a bottom-up approach, saying maybe let's now start a class war? Rather than going bottom up.
Not maybe, but I want to start from the point where we need to tell Kenyans on how they are conditioned by government. We have had these cries over and over again about financial crises in point A, in point B, and it has been used as a justification, as an excuse to increase money on one side or on the other. Why I say that is because at once we had MPs having their salaries delayed, and they brought it out forward on how the government does not have money. So that was the conditioning for MPs to support a finance bill that taxes Kenyans, because government does not have money. Then we went from there, and we do not have remissions to NHIF, and hospitals started chasing people away.
Right.
And now from that, we start telling you the government has no money, and so it will have to regularize how you pay your NHIF, and we do not pay a standard rate, and we have to pay according to salaries and according to how much you pay, and nobody should be paying below this amount. Again, I come back to you being conditioned to accept that NHIF will go up. I bring the people back to a local question, a local scenario that they have been used to. Most of us have taken what is being called as hustler fund, albeit we did not take it to do business, because again, what they are giving you to do business, and they are not giving you any training to do business with that 1,500. If you ask them, they tell you if you take avocados of 400 from Kisii and we bring them to Nairobi, you will make. And you'd ask them, how many people have you given that training of how they can sell avocados and where they will get the market for avocados?
Right. There's a lot to speak on the business environment, right?
But even in all this, the question becomes on how you're being conditioned to accept some other things. So from the hustler fund, everybody who has taken the hustler fund will tell you there's something that has been going to savings. And if you ask them today, where is that saving? We have had, they say they have already transacted over 3 billion with hustler fund. Right? With that 3 billion, if we take what they had been using for savings, that would come to around 300 million, if I'm not wrong. From that 300 million, where is it? Who is the custodian of that 300 million? Why are we getting increasement in the NSSF, and you can take that 300 million to NSSF because that was the intention of a savings fund? So you get where we are headed with this, that at one point you need to get to Kenyans and tell them, okay, something is not adding up. What you're being told, when you see some things happening, they're just happening so that you can accept what will come. Because Kenyans are being lied to today that the levy has been reduced from 3% to 1.5%, and it has not. you are still going to pay 1.5%.
As you
What
were
they
before.
had done is they had included the employer, and the employer has threatened the government that they will sack you if they are forced to pay. And so they have told the employer, no, you don't pay. But what we tell Kenyans is we tell them we have reduced, we have come down. They wanted us to come down, we have come down. We have come down from digital content creators paying 15% to 5%, but if you're exporting anything, you have to do a double of that. And we are saying, we created a ministry so that we can export much of our products to the outside world. How?
Now, Robin.
Yes.
A normal mwananchi who's a diehard fan of the Kenya Kwanza government, taking a look at this, they'll be like, these are, suited men up on TV speaking about the digital content tax, kizungu mingi, export tax, housing levy and all of that. Mimi ni mwananchi wa kawaida, nilipatiwa 3,000, hustler fund, au majamaa watataxiwa tuwekewe kwa savings, and I think that the bottom up is actually going to work. I don't have a pay slip, I don't have to worry about NSSF, I don't have to worry about pay and all these other deduction. How do we tell that mwananchi that this finance bill still is hurting them to the core?
So I will start where I began. That we have been implementing a project under the IRI to have the views or to do surveys on young people on what they think about business, what they think about the laws on business, and how they could be suited to help them. The realization was that most youth businesses fall within the first 3 years. And so we started asking ourselves, what could be wrong? Why is it that they don't go past 3 years? Why is it that we don't have young businesses that we can say are an earmark of what has happened? And that conversation led us to Kenyans, or rather I would say Nairobians, and understanding their whole view of how they take government wanting to take money from them. That you need to explain to them exactly where they come in on this finance bill. When you tell them watu wa helicopter wametolewa, you tell them that to incite them and to make them fight watu wa helicopter. When you tell them the middle class are the ones who didn't vote and they are the ones now who are going to finance those houses for the young people, what you're creating is that mindset of the middle class versus the social class, and so that you can contribute to that chain of bottom tenor up. I have always fought against it. So for that Kenya Kwanza guy who is sitting there and believes this government has good things for Kenyans and it is planning to do to help Kenyans in the long run, I tell you this, brace yourself. We are just at the finance bill. After the finance bill, we will go to divide this money. We will go to share revenue with county. We will get now to the appropriations bill, where we say where money will be going, which projects will be doing. And you will remember that there were so many projects that were halted as we await for money. So when we get to that point and you see that we do not have Mau roads, when we get to that point and we see that the bridges that were being done over seasonal rivers are not being built anymore, you will remember that we had just begun.
Right.
Yes.
Think about it, because the government also does open the floor for you to give in your participation, public participation on a number of these bills, including this finance bill, the NHIF contributions and whatnot. And you can be checking the gazettement of some of those. Let me just quickly say some that are still open for you to send in your, your feedback. The privatization bill as well, seeking to privatize a few of those loss-making companies in the Republic and parastatals, the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, the Conflict of Interest Bill, the Regional Development Authorities Bill. These are some of those important bills you should be taking a look at, so that you're also keeping in check the Kenya Kwanza government. We might be concentrating so much on the finance bill of 2023, and so many things could be happening in the background. It's important that we are also, very keen on the distractions that are currently happening.
There's one thing that people haven't noticed. In about, before we get to December, Kenya will host the African Climate Action Summit here in Kenya. Kenya will host the African Youth Connect Summit here in Kenya. And most of the things that are being talked about are climate. As we are talking about that, when everyone, they know the president is the patron for climate change, we have changed the Climate Change Act to include something called carbon markets. Carbon markets are ways that countries are making money from environmental programs. But that will not be told to you. So that the law has changed. In fact, the review and the public participation for the climate change review was done last month. So they're already changing that and introducing carbon markets to Kenya. They are going to make money from that. But do you Kenyans know about it?
No.
Counties are being given something called FLOCA, funds for local programs on environment. They are receiving those grants. Are they telling you about it? Is there any social project that you're doing around environment that could benefit from FLOCA? But they will not tell you about that. So I get where you're coming from by saying we should focus on some of the things that are being asked for public participation. But it is true that we also have to be very keen on what the government is not telling you.
Okay.
So most of the time they tell you so much, but focus on what
they
they
are
are
also
not telling
not telling you. That's a very important way to. That's a very nice way actually to put that important point there. Focus also on what they are not telling you. But the deputy president here on page 6 is also telling us something. There has been an exchange of words, though silently, between the deputy president, and the illegitimate office of the prime CS. That is CS Mudavadi. It's unconstitutional.
Yes.
I have to say it as it is, right? So there seems to be a pointing of fingers from the deputy president to CS Mudavadi that, some of the trips, including the one he made to Nigeria, are not beneficial for the government. And earlier on you'd mentioned some foreign trips, that the government seems to be taking and spending a lot of money on. Speaking during a media interview last week on Friday, the DP here is quoted to say that, let me tell you, because I don't have interest in attending swearing-in ceremonies, I have told the president to let me address the issue of alcohol and bang among the youth. However, there is a rebuttal here from Women Representative Beatrice Adagala, who's saying it's not necessary for you to return with a chest full of gold from a foreign trip like a pirate.
Nice one. But
Is the DP right for the first time? I've seen so many statements from DP Gachagua. Is this one of the right statements to tame foreign relation trips?
Okay, I will say that one is quite political. In fact, the same thing of focusing on what they are not saying is what I can apply here.
Okay.
That you guys are seeing him talking about going to a foreign trip to come to those
foreign trips.
Foreign trips is because the foreign trips that is from Jubilee to even for meetings with all MCAs, from Mount Kenya. He has been doing that. He hasn't been saying that's what he's doing, but that's what he's doing. And every time we highlight what the former president is doing outside, the current president sends Mudavadi to those trips, and people asking that is how lowly he thinks of such. Rigathi would go there and start fighting Uhuru just in front of guests.
And it's Nigeria.
And it is Nigeria. You see these people, let me tell
previous
you,
regime.
I am an honest man. I am married to one wife. I don't drink. And we have gone back now to profiling of young people. That's all I had from that. Because when he says, now leave me to deal with the issue of alcohol and bang among the youth of Mount Kenya, is what they have branded the young people of Mount Kenya as we speak. Personally, I am a victim of being profiled. Not knowing who I was. I have been taken even to court. I have been arrested because they believe you're a young person. You just look like... if I'm not wearing a suit, I just look like alcohol and bang to them. And those things are bad, and those things are the ones that are making us not have jobs. I wonder how, because in fact, they are the ones employing you for engaging in such. But that conversation is a conversation that can be escalated to a different level. But the issue you see between Mudavadi and Rigathi is just a matter of succession and it will come to pass. We have already seen it. We know it is coming. Once in a few years, you will hear Rigathi talking of how illegitimate that office is and how unconstitutional it is, and we will support him because we will say, yes, you are talking the truth. You are an honest man, and they were in the same government forming that, making the deal to have a prime CS. Yes.
All right. So maybe also again, as Robin keeps saying, also listen to what they are not telling you. As you read the dailies, as you see the headlines, also think about what is happening behind the scene, something that you might not be aware of. So that is what is there in the Finance Bill of 2023. By Thursday, we'll be getting the full deliberations and also a presentation to the Kenyans for the 2023-2024 budget. And brace yourselves. Robin keeps saying, brace yourselves. Tough times are lasting. Tough times are lasting. If we move to page 8 of the Daily Nation, we see the issue of Shakahola. So the state wants those who are rescued from the Shakahola forest to be moved from a rescue center to Shimo La Tewa Maximum Prison, where they will be forced to eat. This comes after it emerged that 65 victims who are rescued from the forest are starving themselves still. After they were rescued, they were taken for treatment before they are being transferred to a rescue center in Kilifi. Someone was insinuating that maybe we are seeing this, rise of extremism in religion because of the dire situation in the Republic. It is easy for you to convince someone who's been battered down by the cost of living to follow Jesus to death, to starve themselves to death for a better future. Can we still point our fingers back to the cost of living and the current situation of the economy for this very situation? The Shakahola massacre, which I will call it a massacre because it's a death, the death as of yesterday, 285 people. That's a number which is shocking even all across the world. Can we say the economic situation in the Republic is so dire that people now need to meet Jesus?
Okay, I will not say that per se, but I will look it in a point of view from the political economy side. That yes, we have prevailing circumstances that make us so gullible for things that selling hope. You see, they say that religion is the opium of the poor. If you go to a slum right now, you will find more churches than you will find M-Pesa shops in those areas.
There's more faith than money.
Yes, but that's not what I want to get to, because what I want to focus on is what made us get to that position. That if we used our political aspirations using religion, then it is quite easy for anyone to manipulate that religion. I have always insisted on having that separation between state and religion, and if you had the SUPKEM leaders talking in parliament yesterday, they were saying that they are aware that the constitution is quite clear that there shall be no state religion, and religion should be let to be free. But even in doing that, we find out that we came from an angle of, we just had an election where religion was the most played part of the campaign season. 90% of the campaign that were done in the previous elections were done in the pulpit. And by doing so and by engaging religious formations in our campaign, it means that our voter population or our civic population is much aligned to the religion. I will say this because I had an argument with someone who I respect very much, but we differed on this because I did not subscribe to the logic that, when someone becomes president, it is God who has given him that leadership, and we need to respect that, and we need to accept whatever he has for us, and he will leave his legacy on that. I said no. I said you cannot, you people, there was nowhere people are campaigning to God. That is where we went wrong. When we were campaigning, we looked like we were campaigning to God and not campaigning to people. And yet it is the people who came to vote.
Right.
If it was a matter of God, we would just go to church and we would pray and we let God say, I appointed this one? Why did they have to campaign? But they used that opportunity to fix your campaign to God, that at this point, anything you want to sell to someone, you have to quote God, you have to quote the Bible, you would see even Gathoni Wamashoba in her dissent of the finance bill, she still has to quote Bible so that it goes along with what the people have been hearing and what they have been sort of conditioned to. And that is the angle that I stand with, even in that Shakahola debacle in itself, that what it has produced is that what you're doing by engaging us in Thanksgiving and services every Sunday and taking us around as a president means that as a country, the one thing that we keep listening to is religious rhetoric. And that means anybody with an other agenda can easily use that religious rhetoric to take advantage of whatever we are going through.
Right.
You have already raised everything for us. You tell us unga ni 150 supermarket, we can't find that unga. And here is a person who says, Jesus said, man shall not live on bread alone. We follow that man.
And we get Jesus and will get us more than that bread.
Yes.
So that is what you can read on page 8 of the Daily Nation. That is the state wanting the Shakahola victims moved to prison and force-fed, but we are taking a look at it for recent events. Now, but the story that is there on the Daily Nation, maybe just we can touch on it lightly. What do you think should happen to these victims? They're saying some of those rescued, and they're in these rescue centers, they're refusing to eat, and they're scaring the other survivors who are very willing to have these meals, and they want to take them to prison and be force-fed there. As an analyst in this kind of matters, how would you advise the state to approach this? Are these victims? Are we treating them as accomplices or taking part in whatever it is that the pastor is accused of?
Okay, it's quite a balancing task, because on one side, these people have their freedom of conscience and belief. You cannot propagate or force them to have a certain belief. But on the other side, they have the right to food. The state has an obligation towards them to ensure food security for them and ensure that they live well. If you were to try and commit suicide today and you fail, you will be arraigned in court for attempted suicide.
They're actually being arraigned for attempted suicide. This one.
And you will be jailed for that. The point being that your death, if you want to leave the earth, leave the earth the terms of God. You can't leave us to suffer here alone. We have to suffer together. But that's that being said, I think the government has to really focus on reimagining the story for our victims. In as much as some are scaring and some have already been indoctrinated, we are faced in June is actually the men's mental health
awareness month, right?
Yes, so we are actually in a state where talking of the issues of mental health should be utmost to all of us. That understanding people need to be self-aware of themselves. People need to have a sense of belonging in whatever they do, and understanding what stresses that people go through in a day would help us to get, because we can say maybe it is economic or lack of food that made people go, but we have had stories of people who are well off, who had jobs, who had good things, and they dropped them all to go there. And focusing on more on what is it that could be on your mental state. If you have been used to being lied to every now and then, and you get to a point and you find out all this was a lie, even with your biggest wealth in life, you might find that the life is not worth living for if you have been living a lie in your whole life. So I think the government should really focus on the mental health state of our victims. In as much as they want to force them to eat, you can take each one of them through rigorous psychological tests to find out exactly what is ailing this man. Because you will find that the gullible thing, that the vulnerability that was used by this religious thing is something small. Oh, your parent died once they gave birth to you. you had a wife, she got a baby and passed on, so you are cast in your family. Once you give birth, you have to die, and that person has something that he's carrying over their shoulder that is beyond what you see on the screen. That's what I would advise the government to go by. But seeing that we have this kind of government, I am not sure my advice would be hard.
I won't say a word. I won't say a word after this kind of government. But rehabilitation, that's what Robin is currently advising for these victims. It also speaks to a level of desperation, even if a section of them don't portray that level of desperation financially. There are many things that are happening behind the screen, as Wakili Robin is saying there. So that's our story. You can get to read more of. Maybe finally to take a look at a final piece of story that is of interest for us here on the Daily Nation. If you have it, you can flip to page 10, where DPP Haji, Nordin Haji, who's being, isn't Nordin Haji supposed to be the next NIS general? Director of Public
Welcome to Kenya Kwanza.
Prosecution. Nordin Haji actually has he had this award withdrawn from him. I'm going to get the name of that award because they gave it to him a year or two ago, and then later they realized this guy is just withdrawing cases left, right, and center in Kenya. There's no way he's bipartisan in any of his dealings. But now the Director of Public Prosecution here is said to be thinking, or he has actually applied to withdraw charges against former Permanent Secretary Lillian Mbogo Omolo over an alleged loss of 468 million at the National Youth Service. And we're taking a look at the numbers. The value of all the halted cases have hit 10 billion Kenyan shillings, Robin, as Haji seeks to end this one, the XPS trial. So far, since he started dropping cases as of the Kenya Kwanza government coming in, they are going to hit 10 billion. Why hasn't Kenya been able to deal with graft despite knowing its effect? Are we glorifying corruption?
As a youth, I would say this is a very sad day. As a young person, before even I get to my legal standing or my legal status, as a young person, I am a very disappointed person. We had a memorandum in Parliament, in the last Parliament, against Lillian Mbogo. She was the PS for Youth Affairs. That's how she was in charge of things like NYS. And once we uncovered a scandal within the Ministry of Youth Affairs, she was suspended as investigations were being taken over. And by and large, we went forward and she was charged in court. And we get to a point where we have now a new government, and you siding with that government means you get one wash, you are cleaned, you are sanitized, you go to Kenya Kwanza today and you become the saint of all saints, and they pray for you and Jesus forgives you all your sin and you become a new being. You are written in the book of life. So that is what has been happening. So once we get to that point, all our leaders have been aligning with this government just so that things can be washed away. That started with once we had Rigathi Gachagua become the deputy president of this country, because we still hold very much restriction or concerns with the case he had about the 2 billion that had been frozen. But once he goes to parliament, he gets into government, his case is the first one to be dropped. All his allies, the cases have been dropped. And then we get to a point where the DPP starts contradicting himself and says he wasn't the one behind charging them, he was being influenced to charge them. So an admission that he was being influenced to charge them could be an admission also, again, as I said, listening to what they are not telling you is an admission that he can be influenced to drop them also. If you can be influenced to start a case, you can be influenced to drop it. And that is what we have been seeing. Now he started, once he started going with the tune of the current government, they have now tried to bring him back to the National Intelligence Service, where he was in the beginning, where he was picked from. And he's now doing some clearing and forwarding before he leaves DPP work, because we are not sure if the next DPP will sing to the tune of the government, or he will just be another Maraga in the making. But what I am trying to show you is that the DPP is quite an compromised office from what he's saying. The DPP before him was made a cabinet secretary to come out of the DPP office. So the people are using that DPP office in as much as it should be independent as a very political tool. We cannot have faith in that office if the people who get from that office only go from one job to another. We cannot have people who retire. We do not have a DPP who has retired.
They move into active politics or government.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, you don't build the confidence of people in that office. So I will stand here and say with all authority that our office of the Director of Public Prosecution does not build any trust in Kenyans.
Robin, you can correct me on this one, but I feel like then we need to have someone responsible for what is happening. If we have so many cases being dropped due to a lack of sufficient evidence, either whoever is prosecuting them needs to answer why there's lack of sufficient evidence, but also the National Police Service, which is supposed to get this evidence. So someone really definitely is sleeping on their job.
Not someone. So many people are sleeping on their jobs because there's need to understand that, okay, we have two ways of getting to this. We have a commission, an Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, that does investigation on their own motion. That they can look into something and try to figure out if there have been any misdoings, corruption cases in a particular institution. We also have a mechanism where we can report a complaint against a specific person, and the National Police Service will take up the duty of investigation, arresting any culprits, forwarding the same to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, who will now charge the accused person, prove his guilt in court, where the court now says, now you have a case to answer, and now it gets to what they say are the reasons people get out. Now our defense lawyers. As a defense lawyer, my job will only come after all those things have done. My job has to see through either the EACC or through the DCI. It has to go through the DPP's office. It also has to go through a court which will say that my client has a case to answer. Those things have to happen before I can even start and say it is because of my brilliance that this person is out of court. But what we are seeing currently is that we are not even being let to get to that point. The biggest point of departure comes from the court side and the DPP side, and then we get to them and ask them what is happening, and they all turn back and say the police and the EACC are doing shoddy work. So we only get to pointing fingers from this side to this side. I like what my senior Grand Mullah did a week ago. He had written a good thesis on how the CJ is one of the most incompetent Chief Justices we've ever had, and he got some bashing from it, but from it he got to learn of people not being tolerant in this government, and more of what is happening, what we are seeing going forward is signs of dictatorship, and I'm really hoping that we don't get there.
Signs of dictatorship. We'll have that conversation another time here on Tuesday, pointing out at some of the exact things that we can notice. Let me just read that statement issued by the Transparency International Kenya Executive Director Sheila Masinde when they were stripping DPP Nordin Haji of his 2019 Leadership Integrity Award. Transparency International Kenya has made the decision to withdraw the Leadership Integrity Award. It's funny when I read that because, the DPP has been withdrawing cases. So, in the spirit.
It's a withdrawing symptom.
It's a withdrawing symptom that's hitting everywhere. So, in the spirit of withdrawing cases, the Transparency International Kenya has withdrawn the Leadership Integrity Award conferred upon DPP Haji in 2019. They're saying that they have received petitions which have raised serious allegations regarding the withdrawal of high-profile corruption cases, including those who have been previously recognized, resulting in the loss of public funds. It speaks a lot to a nation when the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, is stripped of a leadership award by an integrity firm.
But you have to understand that he was given that award based on his fight against these big fishes. So when you start withdrawing the cases about on the big fishes, why do you deserve the award?
Right.
We were giving you for that. It's like saying you give a person an award for planting trees and then he goes and cuts them. You withdraw your award. I truly support what TI is doing.
You're given an environmental award for making a forest and then you come cut it down.
Yes.
You have to take back our award.
Yes.
But what does it say for the government, which is now endorsing him for an NIS position?
What he says is that he was doing the bidding for them. Exactly what that means. That the sons of Yusuf Haji, may his soul rest in peace, are disappointing him from wherever he is. One of them has become a puppet of the government. The other one is moving from his party and trying to take his party back to the government. And it's a bad sign. It's what I've said, signs of dictatorship falling, that we will soon find ourselves in a one-party state where if you criticize the government or the president of the day, you might find yourself in some big trouble. We have good resources like our digital content. We are very internet enabled and we can fight this. We have resources that we can use, especially as young people, to fight for what we believe in, but it is very telling of what kind of government we are going to be having for the next couple of years. Because at the rate where we are heading, we can't say we have a stable government. What I tell you with that is, just the other day we were fighting with the police for how they were handling demonstrations. Today, as we speak, the IG and the National Police Service Commission, which he sits on, are not speaking from the same mouth. They are fighting over who should be promoted and who should promote people and who should appoint people and who is the authority over the other. That is what we are having. In the cabinet, we are having a fight between the deputy president and the illegitimate prime CS. In parliament, we are having a fight over Jubilee Party, over members of ODM moving to this side, over members within UDA criticizing the government, others being asked to resign as officials in the party for taking different stands. That is what we are seeing in the country at the moment. They may not highlight it as I have done. Maybe I am a bit biased. Sorry for that. That's all I can say. But they may not highlight it as it is. But that's what we are that's where we are as a country.
A very unstable state.
Yes.
There, and it's worrying for investors. This being a business, you'll have to say it. For investors who are seeking to invest within the republic, a very unstable situation and political tension is worrying. As you've seen with KQ, they currently can't be able, as they've not been able to secure an investor because they have so much debt. They have so much debt, and the huge percentage of ownership of KQ is the government. This is scaring investors who might want a stake in this. If you can get to read this on page 1 of the Business Daily, 187 billion of debt, which is now making investors to shy away from investing in KQ. This uneasiness of the heavy debt is costing us. The government ownership at KQ is 48%, and then the others, KQ Lenders Company, KLM, and other shares which are traded at NSE. But 48%, a majority of it being the government, and all potential investors who spoke here agreed that the fundamentals of this KQ are not attractive for them to place in their money. So this kind of political instability is not very helpful for our business environment.
Again, you noted an advert before on a public participation and a submission for memorandum call. And what was it about?
There was a privatization
bill.
Right.
Now, at the time where we are getting stories of KQ falling, Mumias falling, and now you understand that there's a privatization bill and the government wants to do privatization of some companies, and there are some people who are vocal about company A, you cannot sell A, or if you are selling company A, you have to sell to me. We will have this conversation in a year or two, and you will remember this day. Yeah.
And foreign investors are not getting a chance. So,
yes.
think about it. We can't break down everything for you. Just finally to finish up before I get your last remark, Robin, there. Thank you so much, by the way, for having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
It's been a very important discussion. If there's anything I've left, you will do it on your final remark. Let me do mine here on the newspaper review section from a quote by Diana Gishengo appearing in a media discussion recently, saying corruption is a culture issue. It is so deeply entrenched that political aspirants plan for corruption and that voters enable it by asking them for money. Tupe za macho and mheshimiwa umetuletea nini? Think about it.
I will finish by saying it was Nelson Mandela who said, the beauty of life lies not in being a success, but in every time you rise up after you fail. Now think about it. We might be down, we might be in a very bad and sticky situation, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Peace.
Kili Robin, nimeshukuru sana.
Nimeshukuru pia.
All right, going for that short break on Biashara Tuesday. I'll be back with more business. There are conversations that are happening after this, so don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi wale wana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili
bila uoga. Watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
This is my jam down.
I said my name, I will never give up. Na hata nikisota
Show me something. Everybody wanna feel like me.
you is like a river.
Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it.
Hear me when I say just like
access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
This is your first time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Neno lako Bwana ni mwanga wa njia
Tuesday tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Yoyo. Kama ndimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Ziki nice tujinise weke story. Kata maji pia shada liko nasionikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni nini.
Mama, big up, brother, ukiwa adliver, big up, sis, big up, shows, mama, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Do you want to visit a tough terrain, or do you want to take a trip to the village? Do you want to move around the city in a very fast way, and explore the nightlife? Do you want to go outdoors in a very affordable way without thinking so much about it, with a perfect car for you? That's the conversation we're having here, the car rental industry, with Fasini. So that's FASINII. You can check the website, fasini.com, and get to browse on a couple of options for you. Why buy a car when you can rent it? That's the question that they're asking to you once you land on the website. I'm sitting here with two of the core team members from Fasini, and we're going to have a conversation on how they want to impact the industry, how they want to change to how they want to adapt to the changing environment. Remember, we've talked about sustainability a lot here on the show, climate change, electric cars in technology. So that is also a part of the changing environment in the car industry. How are they going to adapt to that, and how are they going to separate themselves or put themselves apart from the rest of the players in the industry? I'm speaking with the Chief Operations Officer, Wekesa Isaac. Accompanying him is the CMO Fasini, Zuviel Tantua. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Right. I'll begin with you. Please introduce yourself as CMO. What does that mean at Fasini?
So, as you said, my name is Zuviel Tantua, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Fasini. And that just means that I am responsible for pushing out our content about Fasini, getting us clients to come onto the website, getting us hosts to come and put up their cars, and anything that has to do with social media, marketing, doing question and answer questions, and also pitching to our investors. That is all me. That is what I do for the business.
All right. Chief Operations Officer, COO, Wekesa. Talk to us about your operations and also, the launch. We can get right into it.
Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Wekesa Isaac. I'm the Chief Operations Officer. So basically what I make sure is that the daily running of the business is up to date, making sure that if you have any meetings with investors or something of the sort, everything is to place. And then it's been a journey. It's been quite a journey. So if I dive straight into it, they always say the hardest thing about business is to start, because people always say, I'll start tomorrow. Especially when it comes to startups and tech, you'll always be building, debugging. So the moment you come out of that comfort zone, then starting, that is when you now start realizing what are you supposed to change, what are you not supposed to change. So for example, for us, we had been postponing for a while the launch because we feel like we're not ready. But then funny enough, after some time, we realized that you'll never be ready to get into the market. So we decided to dive into the market. Then we had our launch a few weeks ago, which was a very big success. We couldn't even believe it ourselves. We had a great, massive invites, and then people came, we enjoyed, we introduced our platform, we showcased it to them. So we collected some feedback from some of the clients. So what we were targeting specifically from the launch is both types of clients. So as for us, since it's a car rental platform, which is just a medium, we need both the hosts and the clients to hire the vehicle. So we go both sides, collected some feedback, then need some changes, and so far we'll say so far so good.
All right. Let me get back to you, Zuviel. You're asking a question here on the website, or Fasini is asking a question generally. Why buy new when you can rent it out? Let me maybe reverse that question and ask it to you. Why rent and not buy?
Okay, so I think that in this car industry today, it can be a lot of maintenance to take care of a car for a long time. And I think ever since COVID, people are not moving around as much as they used to. And so it is very efficient to have a car rental service only for the days you do need a car. Not only that, but our economy is also dwindling quite a bit. And so it is a lot more cost saving if you just use a car when you need it. So why would you buy a car when you can rent one?
Right.
And Fasini is a platform to do that, essentially.
What sets you apart from other car rental companies in Kenya so far?
So our business focuses on four core main values, and those values are convenience, community, trust, and security. And so when it comes to convenience, most online car rentals they are not available in Kenya. But when it comes to Fasini, we are an online platform, and that is convenient in itself. So the same way you would order an Uber to your house, or the same way you would order a Bolt to go from place A to place B, is the same way we would like to implement a digital platform where you can order a car to come to you or to go pick it up. And so it is convenient, and that sets us apart from physical car rentals where you have to personally go to the location. Furthermore, there's trust and security. No business can thrive without trust as an individual, and in a car rental, you need to have trust between the host and the clients. So we try to implement some strategies that ensure that we have trustful work on the platform. And this just includes partnering with third-party platforms to ensure that our hosts and our clients are verified on the website. And therefore, when your IDs and your driving license is put up on the website, our third-party platforms do verify that information. And so we secure that security aspect of who is renting out your car. And I think the important part is in Kenya, when you're looking to rent a car, what do you have to do? You have to call a friend who knows someone who knows somebody else to rent out a car. So but that is not the most secure method you could use, and security and trust can be a bit of a breach because you don't know who's renting out your car, you don't know where they got it from. So with Fasini, when we implement the security, it does set us apart from other car rental ways, because we ensure that we give you a convenient method and security. And lastly, community is our other core value, and this just focuses on having a central platform for all car rentals, because as much as we are a car rental platform that is digital in itself, we are not saying that car rentals cannot use our platform. So as an individual, you can put your car up on the platform and rent out your car, and as a car rental company, I can decide, okay, let me also push out my cars onto the Fasini website. And so it is also a platform where a community of hosts, clients, and car rentals can all come together and widen themselves. So clients are able to find a way to rent out cars, hosts can find a way to make money, and car rentals can also have more potential clients by putting themselves on a digital platform.
All right. A one-stop shop for convenience, security, reliability. That's all I can get there to summarize it. Wekesa, Fasini or Fasini? if I'm a Kenyan looking at it, I could easily say Fasini. Fasini. What does Fasini mean?
So, funny enough, when we are trying to find like an exact word for the company, so we are trying to look for a word that resembles accessing the vehicle faster, then also maybe using it in a faster way. So we were trying to actually using Google at that time. So we asked Google, give us suggestions about fast and initiating the process in a faster way. So Google told us the most unique way. Then let me explain something before that. So there's something called SEO. So SEO is search engine optimization. So when you search for something on Google, so the one that has the highest SEO index, it will come on the top. So if you have a unique name, chances are high that it will come up on the top. So if you have, like right now, if you just go to Google and then type Fasini, our name, you'll see that it will come among the first one. So we're like, this is a unique name. Then we know unique names are good for search engine optimization. Say, why not go with it? So that's how we came up with it.
All right, Fasini, fast way for you to get car rentals, and also maybe for you to rent out your car as well. Could you tell us about the range of vehicles that are available at Fasini and the different categories?
Okay, so first of all, since we always, when we are making a decision as a company, we make sure that we consider future options. For example, at the moment, we have the normal vehicles. For example, you might want an SUV. For example, you might want Maybach or something of the sort. So we have those small cars, the Vitz, Axios, Prados, and such. But then we're also thinking that in future it might come to a point whereby we've grown so big, we'll have things like trucks. Then let me show you, for example. Do you know that in the United States of America, you can order something, like normally in Kenya, when you order your food, it comes through the Bolt guys, the bikers, or those guys who are cycling. But in the US, you can also order your food through a chopper. It be delivered to your house through a chopper.
All right.
Yes. So definitely we also think in future that we don't just want to have the normal vehicles or even the hybrids. We want to make sure that we get into the industry. Maybe if we go big, we get the ships, the lorries, and all those. Then maybe the helicopters in future, something of the sort. Yeah.
All right, that is a very optimistic outlook into the future. So now, how do you ensure the safety and reliability of these vehicles that you're giving out?
Good question. So normally, when you want to hire a vehicle, you go to the car rental station, right? You go with your documents, then they do the inspection. So they take the pictures of the vehicle before you take the vehicle, and then you bring back the vehicle, they also take the picture. So we do the same. So you also have a team that when you want to pick up a vehicle or you want it to be dropped to you, they do an inspection of the entire vehicle. Then when you bring back the vehicle, an inspection is also done. So that in case if there's any damage, we can always, and we always encourage our hosts to always have insurance. If they don't have the insurance, we can always provide them with the insurance through our third-party partners. So the insurance that we encourage them to have is the comprehensive insurance. And you understand the difference between comprehensive and third-party, whereby if you have the comprehensive insurance, in case of anything, everything will be catered for. So when the vehicle is brought back, in case there is any damage, there are some minor damages that the insurance will not cater for it. So we follow up with our teams to make sure that the person who had the vehicle is liable for the damages. Another thing, we encourage our clients, those are our hosts, to do partnership with our third-party partner, which we install trackers on the vehicle, whereby in case of any a functionality that is going on the vehicle, we can trace it. Then if you're supposed to return the vehicle after 5 days, then there are 10 days that you've exceeded by 5 days. We can easily know where the vehicle is. So that gives some trust level to our host to be sure of where the vehicle is and also cater for in case of any damages.
How do you, I'm just still sticking with you because it's operation, then I can move back to the emergencies and breakdowns that happen in the field. Maybe someone has gone out there with the car, got an accident in Nakuru on their way to Kisumu, got an emergency, some type of way. How do you handle that if they call back?
So at the moment, we have, if you want to book a vehicle, we have an option for you to filter. You can book in terms of city or something of the sort. So for example, you've booked your vehicle from a city of Nairobi and you want to go to Nakuru, right? So then you get to somewhere in Maimayu, then there's a breakdown. So we are having talks with the partners, rescue partners in different counties to make sure that at any point that you are, let's say you're in Kisumu, but you pick the vehicle from Nakuru, we just contact our rescue team, then they come, then they attend to you. But those are still talks that is in place.
Right. Most people have concerns about the cost of renting a car, right? If, I have to pay it every single day for the next 10 days, might be, a bit expensive on my part. How does Fasini handle pricing of the vehicles that are available?
Okay, so when it comes to pricing, the beauty of our platform is we have very many hosts, and all the hosts can price their vehicles based on the competition on the market. So we as Fasini are not telling you to limit your amount that you are putting on your platform, but we do encourage standard rates for our customers, because if you price your cars too high, no one's going to buy them. And so when you come to our platform and you put up your car, hosts can also look at what other people have put up on the website, and that way they are available to understand what the competition is and price their vehicles accordingly. And that benefits the host because they are able to choose a price that best fits their vehicle and what they would like for their future. And it also helps them stick within the standard rates, because if they price it too high, we also have a review section on the platform. So if clients are not happy with the prices, then they will also not be able to get clients. So it's all about balance and ensuring you're putting the best pricing out there. In terms of any additional fees, we don't have any specific additional fees on the platform. As Wekesa mentioned, we have tracking services and insurance that we do offer on the platform, and that would be the only additional fees that you would, and that is our choice for the host to choose as an option. So all of that you will see at the end of the platform when you have a booking list about what you have booked and what additional costs you have chosen to have. Other than that, Fasini does not have any hidden fees. All we do is just price your rental, and we only take a commission based on the rental price of the vehicles.
All right.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware of this. Kenya has very different terrains, yeah? It's the city, as I was mentioning earlier on. Maybe someone needs to go to the village, needs to take a hike up the Ngong, someone just needs to move around the city for a party. There are different terrains, different trips. Do you also cater for this, and how does that look like?
So we do cater for it. As we said earlier, we don't have a restriction on the type of vehicles that can be on the website. We have all vehicles, a wide range of availability of vehicles, and many of the vehicles are available on multiple terrains. When it comes to things like tourism and safaris, we know that people love the safari trucks. So of course in future we are also planning to have some car rental platforms that are specific to safaris, and so individuals who come from abroad and would like to hire vans for a large number of people, or individuals who come from abroad and want to hire a safari truck for a safari ride that's a different terrain, they have that available. But essentially we do not have a limit on the cars that can be on the website. There are all kinds of cars, and many of the cars like the Prados can do a bit of rough terrain. So it is all up for option. Yeah.
All right.
Like you remember, sorry to interject you, earlier when we were having that conversation, when you asked me about the Prado, I told you it's available at that affordable rate.
Yes.
So we have all the categories of the vehicle at the moment, and she had mentioned we're also partnering with the companies that have fleets. So if you are a team of like 30 people, you want to go for a road trip, you'll also be catered for.
Right. Sustainability. Let's get to it now. There is a conversation of us moving away from, petrol, diesel to something more sustainable, electric, hybrid, and all of that. Is this a conversation that is happening at Fasini, and how do you plan to adapt these kind of changes?
That's a very good question. So this topic of sustainability, it's actually a good topic so that you can get away from the fossil fuels and also embrace the green energy. So as Kenya, you've seen they've started embracing like the matatus. You've seen we have the electric buses and so forth. So we have talks in that, but we have had challenges since the infrastructure is not that conducive. But then if we are going to embrace the green energy vehicles, that will be only limited to specific areas. For instance, you cannot get an electric vehicle, then you want to travel with it from Nairobi to maybe Kisii or somewhere. You'll get somewhere and then you'll have to find your way back home with a chopper from Fasini again, you get. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I really love that.
You have to get now a chopper to bring you back home.
Yeah.
Then you bring a flatbed to get the car.
Bring the car.
Yes. So areas like, for example, in Nairobi alone, that's where we'll now be able to provide such vehicles. Yeah.
All right. What are actually the typical rental periods that you guys offer? Can I take it for a month, 2 months?
So it depends with your pocket, first of all. So then if you want to get vehicle for like 5 days, it's good. So the only thing that we always encourage our clients is that we don't want to make you extort your money. We want to make you sure that you only rent the vehicle when you need it, when it's only necessary. Yeah, when it's necessary, you can rent it for as much time that you want.
All right.
As a host, you are able to select specific rental periods on the platform. So if I choose to put up my car and I want to make sure that I have my car in July, but I only want to rent out my car for June, that means I can put up my car for a specific period of time for hosting. And so if I as a client come and I see this car and I'm like, okay, I see this car and I want to rent it out, but I want to rent it out in July, it will show that it is unavailable because the host wants that car in July. So the rental periods are, of course, based on the host as well as the client, but there are also filters that filter the cars that are available during your specific rental periods. But yeah, there's no limit on how long you can rent a car. It's just whether you will find a car that is available to be rented for that long during that period.
All right. This is a service industry that you guys are in, and customer service, it's really essential. How do you handle it for this specific car rental industry? Because I'm understanding there are different type of customers, different needs. They might actually go back on their word sometimes. Sometimes they need you to understand the situation. How do you handle that kind of customer service?
Yeah, I think something that's very true. There's a lot of difficulties with customer service in Kenya, both on both sides, because when you're having people come onto the platform and put up their cars, it can be difficult having reliability of, I'm coming on time, but Kenyan timing is like 3 hours later. So when it comes to customer service, we are always available to talk to our clients. We do go onto our website, and at the bottom we have a support@fasini.com email, which is 24/7 accessible by our clients. So if you're ever having a problem with anything on the platform, we are available. We also have numbers that are up on our social media websites, which people can call in case of any emergencies that they may have, and also get into contact through our social media services. But our team is very prompt. We're always on standby. We will have late nights if we need to make sure that you are okay, and are always in talks. Like, there's never a point when nobody is connected and understanding what is going on. And the second there's an issue, they are always making sure they are on, trying to solve it. So customer service is probably top notch.
Right. Earlier I had asked about measures that are in place with Fasini to handle emergencies or breakdowns that might occur during this rental period. And I'm getting a follow-up question from Ryan, and he's asking that who is liable? Where does the liability lie when something happens to the car? Are you the one going to follow? Does Fasini follow up in case of an accident, or will the host have to follow up, or how do you guys handle that kind of situation?
So our insurance does cover. As we said, the insurance is comprehensive, so it covers every possible aspect that could happen. As Fasini, we love to take care of our clients, so we ensure that first and foremost they are okay. But we do have insurance for that reason, and if the host chooses to sign up with our insurance, then they will be covered during accidents that occur.
Earlier on, I'd mentioned something about the legal. We also have a legal department, so that in case of any damages of any follow-up. So us as Fasini, since we want to give all our customers, that is the hosts and the clients, an amazing experience, we make sure that we follow up on their behalf. Then there are two things that we mentioned earlier. That is the insurance and car tracking. So it's optional on the platform, but then we always encourage our clients to go with it, because if you're using our partner for the insurance, it will be much easier and faster for us to do the follow-up, more than compared to us coming to your insurance company and then trying to convince them of situation A or B. So that's how we try to make sure that our customers are satisfied on both fronts.
All right. That is you guys taking care of everyone. Whoever has their car can sleep in peace, and whoever's taken it out there is also able to utilize it effectively in whatever destination they're going to. Are there age restrictions, by the way? Like a 17-year-old come there?
So, talking of age restrictions, there's a time, I don't know if you remember, there was I think he was a businessman who gave the kid a Prado to roll around.
Yeah.
You know what happened to him.
Yeah,
so,
eventually.
of course, before you signed up to a platform, you must have your national identity card. And for you to have a national identity card, that means that you must be 18 and above. So definitely there are age restrictions.
All right. Guys, now, apart from the chopper, hopefully coming through, Maybachs and Lambos and electric cars coming through to Fasini, what does it look like for you, setting yourself apart from the rest of the players in the industry in the coming years? I can begin with you, and then maybe you can move back to COO.
So in terms of setting ourselves apart, as we said, it's just consistently ensuring we implement new features onto the platform. As we said, the emergency services, the different cars, not only are we trying to get trucks, but we're also trying to consider construction vehicles as well, because that can be used on our platform. They can, of course, order a construction vehicle from our platform. So that is something else that we are working towards. And we're looking to consistently add more features based on client feedback, because as we said, customer services are top priority. We want to ensure that everybody is getting what they need, and that means listening to what they have to say when they need new features, when they require different services. So we're constantly, our developer and our team, our tech teams are consistently working to change up the website to make sure it improves any services that it may have.
All right. CEO, as you speak on that as well, please do tell us the process for onboarding onto the platform as a car owner and also someone who's trying to rent out one.
Good. So, as Fasini, we're not only just a tech company, but we're also dynamic and adaptive. As you mentioned earlier, something about customer care. So for us, we have a specific algorithm set in place whereby we can always keep on learning from our customers. Then we see what need do they need the most, that we can also implement them. So we always change. For example, we might get a scenario like right now whereby we have like the entire country, we have the conducive environment and then the entire infrastructure for electric vehicles. Then we see people shifting a lot. So that means that we'll also try embrace the direction towards green energy. Then to the section about onboarding. So first of all, somebody has to go to our platform. That is Fasini, FASINII.com.
I'm on it.
Yes, you go. Yeah, so you go to the platform. But then before you get to the platform, you make sure that your KYCs are in order. That is, for example, if you want to hire a vehicle, make sure you have your own driving license. You have a national ID. So when you go to the platform, you go to the sign up page. Then you go to the sign up page, you'll be prompted to input your ID number and your pictures of your ID, then your license. So the reason why we ask for those documents is for verification processes. Then after that, if you are verified, we make sure that your credentials are okay. You'll be able to book any vehicle that you want.
All right.
Then for the host, they must make sure that they have also the YKRCs in place. That is, for example, if you have a vehicle, you must have a logbook. If you don't have a logbook for the vehicle, that is null and void. Then also have your national ID, then have your driver's license. Then you go through the verification process. Then after that, you also be able to upload your vehicle. So the main key thing that we want to ensure on a platform is trust. So normally in the industry of anything related to online, there are a lot of scammers. You can imagine there are a lot of scammers.
That's true.
So we want to curb that so that it be a trustworthy platform, as she mentioned earlier, among our core values. Yes.
Right. That is a great way to end that, a trustworthy platform. Anything feels like we've left out there?
No, I don't think you've left out too much. I think that once you sign up to the website, it is very easy to see. The client dashboard and the host dashboard is really comprehensive. As a host, you can see which cars are currently being rented out, which cars have trackers, which cars do not. You can actually message your hosts and your client. You guys can message on the website as well. So I think it's very comprehensive. Once you sign up, it's very exciting to explore.
It's actually an easy to use platform. And I always say this when people bring up the issue, oh, it's a website, I need to sign up, I need to do this. I say, even my grandmother in the village knows where to access the M-Pesa toolkit. They can go all the way to Pochi la Biashara, and it's a lot of processes that takes them there. So it's really easy. Please check it out. It's the first thing that you see here. If you want to rent out, rent your ideal car today. Why buy a car when you can rent it? Guys, to finish this up, you are a startup, and maybe you're in the fundraising period. You can tell me more about that. Do you need more collaborations or investments? This is your time to speak out. CMO, time to market it out. COO, time to get your operations running. So speak to the people.
Yeah, so we are always available for talking about investment into the business. Of course, to invest in a company, you have to see promise in it, and we are hoping that we can show you that. We are consistently working to use our investment to ensure we bring more clientele towards our platform. We want to make sure to get our word out there. Our marketing has a lot of strategies to do such things such as expositions, ensuring we do some trade shows here and there and bring out our business quite a lot. And eventually we want to have billboards up and everything. So I think it's a really good market to look into. And yes, we are always available for investment. We cannot refuse talks about investing into a startup. As if you have ever started up a company, it is a journey and it is one worth taking, but it is always helpful when you can get something from other people.
All right. Bwana CEO, before you give your last remark there's a question that's just come in from Mark Levis, who's watching us, and they're asking, is there a daily mileage limit when renting a car? You can answer that, and then maybe speak to anything else that we might have left.
Good. So at the moment, we don't have a really daily maximum limit for the mileage. So what we are trying to do is make it as simple as possible so that we don't get into the intricacy of such. So if you want to hire a vehicle, as long as you make sure it is in good condition, as long as you make sure you've paid for it, and as long as that you are satisfied, and as long as the host is satisfied, then we are good to go. Yeah, hope I've answered that question.
Yes.
Then let me give you a scenario. We have Jumia, right? We have Alibaba, we have Amazon, we have Kilimall. All of these, they are competitors, yes, but nobody has kicked the other one out of the business. So what we're trying to tell the other guys who are doing car rentals the normal way, we are not here as competitors. We're here as collaborators. The more the merrier. So you find Uber, somebody has an Uber app, somebody has a Bolt app, somebody has a Faras, there's Chauffeur. They are also always waiting for that trip to come so that they can pick. So if you have a car rental out here, you can just even join our platform. Do your own business, but also join our platform so that you can have as much income as you can. Yes.
And this you're saying to the guys who are doing it the normal way.
Yes,
right?
the normal way.
The
So
traditional way. They are not online.
Yes. So they can join us so that you can join hands so that you can partner together and as we grow together. Then to finalize, I will say this. Right now we have a couple of investors, and we always, as she said, we're always open to investing. So if you think that Fasini has the future for you, don't be left behind.
Right. Vitalis Nyongesa, quite interesting interview. Good job, IT consultant, Wekesa. You're also an IT consultant.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, are you also part of the development team for the Fasini website?
Yes.
All right, so Vitalis seems to be happy with your work. The innovation aspect for Fasini is the way to go. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you guys for creating time for us this morning. All the best. Once you get the chopper up and running, I'll be the first client, yeah? And no, there's no taxation for, chopper rides.
That's why you see I brought the chopper thing.
I like it. Thank you guys for creating time once more, and all the best with the Fasini. Are there any final remarks, any congratulatory messages or shout outs that you want to do, and then I can close this section.
No, I'd just like to say thank you for having us today. For anyone watching, if you'd like to check out the website, it is www.fasini.com. If you'd like to check out our social media, it is Fasini. If you search up, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, and we even have TikTok. So feel free to check us out and follow us and send in any questions you might have, and we shall be quick to respond to you.
Okay. Biashara Tuesday is taking a very short break. I'm coming back to read your feedback and see what your reactions have been so far. Let me take the breath. I'll be back.
Tuesday tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Ndio. Kama ndimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza zikinai tujinai siweke story kata maji pia shada liko nasio nikosa msupo si stress kama rende kisha basi nipe najua ni
Big up, brother, ukiwa adriva, big up, sis, big up, shows, mamba, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
So if someone has never been pregnant with a pregnancy that went to 20 weeks and beyond, they've been found to be more predisposed to getting uterine fibroids. Also the black race. Yeah. Being black is a risk factor as compared to the whites and Caucasians. Blacks have been found to get fibroids more frequently.
Uterine fibroids is manageable and preventable, and we should seek medical advice as soon as possible.
It's the kind of life I ever wanted. Money, power, moves, and it does. And I also went to like a seminary school too, like where I'm supposed to be like a reverend father. I've always been around music all my life. Yeah, I mean, it's up to every artist to know what motivates them. I saw you with the content, tell me nonsense. Say we no getting memo, take the content. Check my watch, you go see na God's timing.
Karibuni sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds is renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Furnace Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosive.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata.
All right, thank you for keeping it here on Biashara Tuesday. We have been having conversations. We hope you gained valuable insights into the kind of topics that we decided to highlight here this morning. The Finance Bill of 2023 is being tabled in Parliament today to be discussed by honourable members of Parliament who have previously not done anything honourable if the trend is something that we can rely on in informing us this morning. The Finance Bill plays a crucial role in shaping the economic landscape, all the business decisions, various provisions related to taxations, investment in incentives, and other financial matters. The finance bill is supposed to create a favorable environment for the government to raise revenue and also to ensure that businesses are thriving. However, we have tried to address the existing loopholes and inefficiencies in that system and in that bill. And this will extend across different sectors. As we discussed with Wakili Robin, you should be wary of the changes and brace yourself. It is not just a finance bill. You should also be taking a look at other things the government is currently trying to implement that are outside of that bill. They do inform the economic landscape. Later on, we turned our attention into the car rental industry, and we've seen how this business, the short-term rental business is changing in the Republic, and how Fasini are handling it at the moment. Serves individuals, tourists, businesses. Convenience and flexibility is all they are promising on that Fasini website. Check them out, fasini.com, and see the kinds of vehicles that are available for you, the categories, and also the pricing for you to check that out for your transportation needs. They are also taking a look at changing customer preferences and also industry changes, such as the move towards sustainability, going green. They're trying to also in the future implement electric cars into their fleet. I'm hoping with these conversations on the finance bill and the car rental industry, they are separate, but understanding them is essential, because this finance bill involves taxation for businesses, and the car rental industry is also in those businesses that are affected by whatever taxation or levies that are being implemented in the finance bill of 2023. We hope that you've gained valuable insight into how to conduct business, how to navigate the work environment, and also to make some money for yourself, because at the end of it all, we're trying to ensure that you're gaining profit from any economic activity that you're doing within the Republic. If you feel we should include it in our conversations, please reach out to us at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Kenye. I will be able to see that. Remember, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Check up on a man that's closest to you. How are they doing? Know their feelings, and also put their considerations at the forefront just for this month. Listen to the men and also take care of their needs. Until next time, keep exploring and also keep discovering new opportunities in the world of business. My name is Richard OKENYE. Good luck and goodbye.